teachings of Rabbi Ephraim Sprecher, Dean of Students at Diaspora Yeshiva on Mount Zion, Jerusalem.
Parshat Vayechi, Yaakov. Yaakov lived 17 years. He lived in the land of Mitzrayim. That's when he really lived, because his life was full of tzoros, troubles, trials, and tribulations. When did he really live? The first 17 years of his life before Joseph got kidnapped, and the last 17 years of his life when he and Joseph were reunited. So the best years of our lives, there's a movie like that, the best years of Yaakov's life was the first 17 before Joseph got taken from him, and the last 17 years when he got reunited with Yosef HaTzadik. That's when he lived, because all the others, he had tzoros, one tzor on top of the other tzoros. Why do we suffer down here? Why? Now, Rabbi, he said something amazing. He says, when you live in a place, you have to pay schar dirah. So we come down here, we live here, we belong in Olam Habad, and the Neshama comes down here in a bodysuit to live, to accomplish a mission. So the schar dirah for living on planet Earth is what? Suffering. So he feels that his death is approaching. Great people have a feeling when their time is near. So he calls his son, Yosef, and he begs him, please do not bury me in the land of Egypt. So you can take a look in your books. Yehuda, mind telling the page? It's Bereshis at 49. Bereshis, Parshat Vayechi, right? Chapter 47, actually. It's chapter 47, Parshat Vayechi, and 47, 29. He says to him, if I found favor in your eyes, please do not bury me in the land of Egypt.
Page 269.
Please do not bury me in the land of Egypt. Why didn't he want to be buried in the land of Egypt? So Rashi gives three reasons why not. Because Yaakov foresaw that 210 years later, one of the plagues will be lice. He didn't want lice creeping over his body. Now, even though a dead body can't feel any pain, but the neshama has anguish when it sees his body being degraded. The neshama has an attachment to the body. You live in a house for 100 years, you become attached to it. So the neshama lived in the body, hopefully for 100 years, and there's a connection. So he knew that lice, one of the 10 plagues is going to be lice, and he didn't want that. And reason number two, Rashi, according to Kabbalah, Rashi quotes Kabbalah over here. You can pass out the books if you want. It's interesting to see inside. What page is it?
Page 269.
269, verse 29, right? And another reason is that at the end of time, there'll be one of the Ani Mamins, Be'emunah Shalema, that the dead will be resurrected. We say it every morning, the Ani Mamins, that there'll be a Tchiyat HaMeitim. But according to Kabbalah, those that die outside of Israel, in order to get resurrected, their bones or their DNA will have to come to the land of Israel. So they'll have to be dead longer. The Tchiyas HaMeitim will happen in the land of Israel. And those people who are buried outside of Israel, somehow they're going to have to, trials and tribulations, their bones will have to come here. Rolling tunnels. Rashi says, rolling tunnels, and therefore, to spare him that agony, he wanted to be. So therefore, it's important to be buried in the land of Israel, because this way, when Tchiyas HaMeitim comes, you wake up quicker, without all of the anguish of having to roll here from Muncie.
God put the spirit of that is the most important person. He didn't want to be a deity in the land.
But that's the third reason. Rashi gives the third reason: the Egyptians not make my dead body a deity, because when Yaakov came, the famine ceased. And when he died, the famine came back. So he didn't want the Egyptians worship the cult of the dead. He didn't want them to deify him, and that's painful for the neshama if they worship the body. So for those reasons, he begged his son to what? take him from the land of Egypt and bury him where? In the Morat HaMachpelah. In the Morat HaMachpelah. And the Rambam brings this in Hilchos Malachim to see how important it is to what? Be buried in the land of Israel. But it's better to come here alive. It's better to come here alive. But if you can't make it here alive, then at least try to make it here afterwards. Because, what? Better to come here alive, right? But the Tchias HaMesim will happen here. The Chutz La'aretz guys won't be resurrected only when they go through, as David said, rolling through underground tunnels, whatever that means. Whatever that means. So why be dead longer than you have to be? So come to Israel alive, and this way you make sure you be buried here after 120. So he calls Yosef, he's sick, he feels his end is near. So he gives his grandchildren a blessing. What does he bless them? He says to them, you want to read that, Elishava, in English?
So he blessed them that day, saying, by you shall Israel bless, saying, may God make you like Ephraim and Manasseh. And he put
Ephraim before Manasseh, his grandchildren. Ephraim before Manasseh. He blessed them on that day. Which day was it? Wednesday or Friday? Never on a Sunday. Was it a Sunday or a Monday? What is the Torah talking about? He blessed them on that day, repeating. Very difficult to understand. It doesn't say what the blessing was. What do you mean he blessed them on that day? What is the Torah teaching me over here? So you have to know where to put the commas. Look at the verse very carefully. It's important to look inside. There's an extra book there. If you want to give it to David, I think he asked for a book. In verse 20, it says, he blessed them on that day, saying. So you got to look at the Hebrew. Vayevorchem kama, bayoim ahu lemor. Keep repeating to yourself. Every day of your life is bayoim ahu. What does bayoim ahu mean? That special day. That's the bracha. Vayevorchem kama. Bayoimahu lemor. Live, keep repeating. Every day of your life is that special day. Could there be a greater blessing than that? Today is the first day of the rest of your life. Could there be a greater blessing than that? Live every day. Keep repeating that every day of your life is bayoimahu. What's bayoimahu? That special day. Which day is special? Every day. So if that's the day, I haven't got time for the pain. I haven't got time to be upset, to be resentful. Every day is that special, unique day. People put away, a special dress, a special coat for that special day. Every day is special. That's the greatest blessing he gave them. And he said that how will Israel bless themselves? May God make you as Ephraim and Manasseh. Why not Reuven and Shimon? Why not Dan and Naphtali? Why the role model for blessing is not Yaakov's sons, but Dafka Yaakov's grandsons? Why is Ephraim and Manasseh the role model and not Dan and Naphtali or Reuven and Shimon or Yehuda and Yisachar? Why? Because what? Yeah, but he blessed grandchildren, Ephraim and Manasseh. Why didn't he say, you be like Dan and Naphtali?
Because they were raised in the land of Chutz La'aretz, they still kept the Torah.
Okay, that's one explanation. But it is, his own sons couldn't be the role model for blessing, because his own sons, there was kina v'sina among them. There was jealousy, envy, and hatred. But Ephraim and Manasseh, even though who was the B'chor? Manasseh was the B'chor. And Yaakov put Ephraim before Manasseh. Yet Manasseh was not resentful. He wasn't jealous. There was no hatred among them. Unlike Yaakov's own sons that were torn apart by hatred and jealousy, Ephraim and Manasseh loved each other. Despite Manasseh being the B'chor and he was bypassed, he didn't resent his younger brother, and therefore they are the role models and not Yaakov's own sons. So every Friday night, that's how a father blesses his kids. Yisimcha Elokim k'Ephraim and Manasseh. Pretty amazing. And he couldn't use his own kids as being as being the role model, right? So he blesses them.
Rabbi,
Yes.
do you not think there's something special about it being Joseph's sons?
Well, Yosef was his favorite son.
So
why not say, may God make you like Yosef?
Because of his mess up, but his sons.
Why not make God make you like Yosef?
He provoked.
Because Yosef and the brothers couldn't get along. Yosef wasn't so innocent either. He spoke Lashon Hara against them. So therefore it could only be the grandchildren. There was only love and friendship among the grandchildren, and therefore they are the role models and not Yaakov's own sons. Very interesting. Then he says the very famous song that we sing, verse 16, chapter 48, verse 16. Hamalech hagoel oti, Hamalech hagoel oti mikol ra yevorech esanorim, yikar bem shmi v'shem avotai, Avraham v'Yitzchak gilu ra b'kerev haaretz. That's verse 16. The angel who redeemed me from all evil should bless the boys. Which boys? Ephraim and Menashe, and let them be called by my name. What is that? Yikar behem shmi. Let them be called by my name, v'shem avotai, the name of my fathers, Avraham v'Yitzchak, and let them multiply like fish. B'kerev haaretz. What kind of bracha is that? So Rashi says that fish, there's no ayin hara on fish, because fish go below the water, and the evil eye cannot affect them, and therefore he gave them that blessing. Of all the brothers, Yosef HaTzadik, he got the bracha alei ayin. He got the bracha that he is above the evil eye. A person should be careful of the evil eye, but Yosef and his kids are above the evil eye. Rashi explains why. Because when Esau came to attack Yaakov and the family started bowing down to them, it says that the mothers bowed down before their kids, right? Rachel, Leah. But when it comes to Rachel and Yosef, it said Yosef bowed down in front of his mother. So Rashi said because Rachel was very beautiful, and he didn't want that Esau should put the evil eye on her, so he protected his mother from Esau's wicked gaze. So since Yosef protected his mother from Esau's evil eye, so Yaakov gave him the blessing that him and his kids will not be affected by the evil eye. What is the evil eye? Does it exist? Is it real? The ayin hara. It's interesting that when Esau came to attack Yaakov, he came with 400 men. Why is that important? Why didn't he come with 399 men, with 403 men? Why dafke 400 men? So Beinu B'chai says that the gematria of ayin hara is gematria how much? 400. So Esau came to put the evil eye on Yaakov, and he was not able to do that. So what is the ayin hara? It's not an old wives' tale. What the ayin, the evil eye. If a person flaunts what he has and brags what he has in front of other people who don't have that, then chas v'shalom, it can lead to an evil eye. What does it mean, an evil eye? What does that mean? Everything that happens to us in the world is controlled by Kodesh Baruch Hu. So God gives somebody gifts and the other person doesn't have. If he flaunts those gifts and he brags about them in front of people that don't have, he's causing tsar to the other person. So if he's causing tsar to the other person, then chas v'sholem, he's opening up an audit against him. That audit in Shemaim is called Lo Yaleinu Ayin Hara. It's all God. But if someone, Hashem gives you certain gifts, be modest about it. Don't brag and don't boast, because you're causing tsar to people that don't have those gifts that you have. And that tsar that you're causing to people by bragging and boasting, that can chas v'sholem opened up the midas hadin. Another word for ayin hara is midas hadin, lo yaleinu. And that's not good. So if we keep a low profile and we're modest with our gifts and we don't brag and we don't boast, the Midas Harachim will protect us. But if God forbid a person brags and boasts, he's opening up Le'aleinu a can of worms, which is either called Ayin Hara, Midas Hadin. But Yosef HaTzadik is immune from that, because he protected his mother from the Ayin Hara, and also when Mrs. Potiphar, what?
How did you do that?
Rashi explains, remember when the families, Yaakov's 4 wives with the kids, they bow down to Esau. The Torah says all of them, the mothers bow down before the kids. But by Rachel, it says Yosef bowed and hid his mother. Yosef was a very tall boy, and he hid his mother behind him. That's what the Torah says. So Rashi says, why did he do that? Because he knew that his mother was very pretty, Miss Israel, and Esau was going to put the evil eye on her. So to protect her from the evil eye, he shielded her with his body. And therefore, he got the bracha, alei ayin, that the evil eye will have no effect on Shevet Yosef or Ephraim and Menashe. That's why tznius is so important. Tzniut, modesty. It's important to protect yourself from the evil eye or from other types of, people flaunt the gifts that they have. They open up a can of worms.
But Rahel was not flaunting. But
No, she wasn't.
Her anyway.
But he protected her. But Esau was looking at her, so to prevent that, Yosef hid her behind himself, and therefore Esau was not able to.
It says that a Russia, you shouldn't see their face.
Yeah, that's.
So he also protected her from that.
Well, you shouldn't stare in a Russia's face, right? It's bad karma. The Medrash says, why did Yitzchak go blind in his old age? Because he stared too much in the face of Esau. Right? Pretty interesting, right? Pretty interesting, right?
Scary.
Another reason why Yitzchak went blind, in order that Yaakov should get the bracha. If Yitzchak wasn't blind, Yaakov would not be able to get the bracha. Right? So whenever happens, things happen.
He said it's the voice of Yaakov, but...
A kol Yaakov, v'yadam yedei Esav. He said the voice is Yaakov's voice, but the hands are what? The hands of Esav. And throughout history, our power is what? The power of tefillah, the voice. And Esav's power is what? Violence, the hand, right? Right? So it's a clash of civilization, a clash of civilizations, right?
If we're davening or we're learning...
If we're doing what we have to do, we wouldn't have to worry about the violence of Esav.
Right.
But if we're not doing what we have to do, then Nebuch, we have to worry about the violence of Esav.
You get
Right?
on us.
Unfortunately, right?
And Ishmael.
Yeah. So Yaakov Avinu, before he dies, he gives the bracha. He gives the bracha before he dies, right? Why does he wait till his death to give the bracha? Or Chaim HaKadosh says that a bracha is more effective right before a person dies. Because a person doesn't die in one stage, says the Or Chaim HaKadosh. It's the neshama disengages, gradual process. So before a person dies, his neshama is dominant. So then the bracha is much more powerful, he says. So you see throughout Tanakh, people give their blessings when? Before death. Because then the person is most of him, person before death, his physical abilities are totally what? Diminished. And he's not kulei ruchni now. The neshama is shining, so therefore the blessing will be more powerful, and therefore he waits before his death, and that's when he blesses his children. Now, not all of them got brachas. Not all of them got blessings. Yet the Torah says that he blessed them all. What about Reuben, Shimon, and Levi? They didn't get any brachas. All they got was rebuke, criticism. So how could the Torah say he blessed them all when it doesn't look like he blessed Reuben, Shimon, and Levi at all?
Even criticism is a blessing from
So the Chaim HaKadosh says, what Yehuda said, that rebuke when it's given from a parent right before he dies is the greatest blessing.
Say that again.
Rebuke giving by a parent or a teacher before death is really a blessing in disguise. Because otherwise, how will you know what your shortcomings are? Right? How do you know what to fix? What kind of moral defect you have? If a loving parent or teacher gives you rebuke before death, then that's an act of tough love. The person will become better. He won't resent it because it's coming from a loving parent or teacher right before the parent or teacher dies. So this is a great bracha, says Yerachayim. It's a bracha in disguise. Otherwise, the person will not know what his shortcomings are. He won't be able to what? Fix them. So if rebuke is giving in the right way, it can be really a hidden bracha. And therefore, even the rebuke that he gave Reuven, Shimon, and Levi is what? Is really a hidden bracha in disguise. And he tells them, I want to tell you what's going to happen at the end of days. Look at chapter 49, verse 1.
Page
Chapter
275.
Chapter 49, verse 1. There's an extra book there if anybody wants it. He calls his sons and he says, gather together and I will tell you what will happen to you ba'achrit hayamim, the end of days. So Rashi said he wanted to reveal the end date, but Hashem hid it from him. The Midrash says there are only two people that knew the exact date when Mashiach is coming. Daniel and Yaakov Avinu. And both were not permitted to what? To reveal it. But he does hint to it in chapter 49, verse 1. He says, if you want the Achrit Hayamim to come, Heyosfu. What does Heyosfu mean? Yeah. Come together right now. If you want the Achrit Hayamim, David, what's the Achrit Hayamim? The end of days to come, then gather yourselves together. Don't tear each other apart. Gather together, reunited, and it feels so good. Who said united we stand, divided we fall? Yaakov Avinu said it, before Lincoln. So if you want the Akros Hayamim to commence, Heyosfu, Hikoftu, chapter 49, verse 1 and 2. Bury the hatchet, but not in each other's back. Easier said than done, right? Stop hating each other, stop being divisive. And it starts at the top. Don't point fingers. I'm going to tell you a vort from Vortland. If you just came to hear this, Professor, it's worth it. Rav Aaron Kotler, Zechat Tzaddik Yavracha, points out, in the book of Yonah, there's a hurricane. Yonah's on a board ship. There's a hurricane. It's about to destroy the ship. So Yonah Navi, he's a chief rabbi, a Navi, Orthodox rabbi, religious Haredi. He's on the boat with Sailor Sam. Sailors, cutthroats, pagans, lowlifes. And he says to the captain, Bishvili hasar agodol hazeh. This hurricane that's about to destroy the boat is because of me. Why would he say that? Maybe it's the lowlife Captain Smith with all the drunken sailors, wife beaters, who knows what they are. Why does this chief rabbi and Navi Hashem say Bishvili? So Rav Aaron Kotler says, what a Musar Haskel. When lo yaleinu, if tragedy strikes, lo yaleinu, lo yaleinu. The religious Haredi Jew should not point fingers. He has to point to the guy in the mirror. Bishvili. We know better. Those people that never had a Jewish education, they don't know any better. It's not their fault. It's the fault of us, says the great Rav Aaron Kotler. And that's what Yonah Navi was teaching. Even though his shipmates were all low-life pagans, but what did they know? They never went to yeshiva. They never had education that Yonah Navi had, or that we have. What a message in life. person should never point fingers. The Baal Shem Tov said, if you point a finger to somebody, Elisheva, try it. There are 3 fingers pointing back to you. Try it. Coinky dinky? Baal Shem Tov, when you point the finger, there are 3 fingers pointing back. Great Baal Shem Tov. And he says another one, the Baal Shem Tov is so deep. Says the Mitzora, the leper has to live outside the camp. And when people come close, he says, Tameh, Tameh Yikra. He has to say, defiled, defiled, he has to call out. Tameh, Tameh Yikra. Why twice Tameh? He said, I'm defiled, get away from me, don't come close to me. There are no extra words in the Torah. There are no extra letters in the Torah. David, there are exactly 304,805 letters in the Torah scroll. How many letters on the Torah scroll? 304, 805. There ain't even extra letter. So why is there an extra word, Tameh? Let the afflicted person call out, Tameh, get away from me. Why Tameh, Tameh? Says the Baal Shem Tov, if a person himself is defiled, he calls others defiled. If you point a finger and accuse someone of a sin, that means you've got that sin. You know what Baal Shem Tov is saying? Don't you dare accuse anybody. Because if that person, you accuse him of that sin, Tameh, Tameh Yikra, if you yourself are defiled, then you will call and accuse others to be defiled. So better watch what you say. And if Baal Shem Tov said, if you ain't got nothing good to say about somebody, don't say anything. Always be positive, said the holy Baal Shem Tov.
Silence is golden.
Silence is golden, right? If we all act like Baal Shem Tov, Mashiach would have been here a long, long time ago, right? The Baal Shem Tov, he points out, he says, Judaism teaches to see only the good in others and to see your own faults. To see only the positive qualities of somebody else and to see your own negative qualities. But human nature is, in yourself you see only what? The positive qualities, and you always look for the negative in the other guy. But Judaism teaches the opposite. In yourself you should only see your negative qualities. In someone else only the positive qualities. Why? Says Baal Shem Tov. Professor, why? Because the only person you can change is what? Yourself. What good is seeing the negative qualities in the other guy? You cannot change him. So look for every person has so much good in themselves. Focus on the good. Because you cannot change it. In yourself, the only person you can change, Avi, is what? Yourself. So in yourself, it's important to see the negative qualities. Because if I see them, then what? I can change them. But if I'm not willing to look at them, I'll never change for the better. But the other guy, what good is to look at his negative qualities? I cannot change him. The only person you can change is yourself. So in yourself, you should focus on the negative. And this way you can change them into a positive. And therefore, getting married is the first mitzvah in the Torah.
For a man.
For a man.
Thank you.
Right? First mitzvah in the Torah. Because Isha Gematria Musar. Aleph Shin Hey, wife in Hebrew, David, is the numerical value of the word Musar. What does Musar mean? Rebuke. Rebuke. The job of a wife is to rebuke her husband. But Isha and Musar is also Gematria Devash. It's also Gematria Devash. The wife has to give rebuke to her husband, but in a honey, I'm home. So Isha's Gematria Musar, it's also Gematria Devash. A wife's job is to rebuke her husband, but she has to do it in a sweet, honey way. Otherwise, it's counterproductive. And only a wife can properly rebuke her husband. Only she can point out his character defects. No one else can do that. Because she's the only one who sees him without his mask on. We're all wearing a mask. David, who sees us when our hair is let down? It's only the wife. So only she can properly rebuke us and make us a better person. That's her job. Isha Gematria Musar. And therefore, when God created Chava, he said, Ezer Kenegdo. She will be a helper against him. Seems to be a contradiction. If she's a helper, how is she against him? How is she helping him? By being against him. By pointing out his character flaws and defects, by being against him in a honey way, that's how she helps him becoming a better person. But anyway, that's why getting married is the first mitzvah in the Torah, right? And therefore the Talmud in Yevamah says, Kol Adam she'ein lo isha eina Adam. Sounds like an extreme statement. Any person that has no wife is not a complete person. Yevamah's page 63. Kol Adam she'ein lo isha eina Adam. Because it says when he created Adam and Chava, Vayikra Shemam Adam. It doesn't say Vayikra Shemoy Adam. It says Vayikra Shemam Adam. He called their name Adam. Only when Chava was created, only then was he called what? A mensch. Vayikra Shemam and not as Shemo Adam. So he commands all of his children and he blesses them. And then something very strange. The Torah says at the end, after he finishes blessing his children, it says as follows, on Bereshis 49, verse 33, a very strange verse. There's an extra book here, everybody wants it. Bereshis 49, verse 33.
It's 285.
Bereshis 49, 33. Yaakov makes an end of commanding his children. He gathered his feet into the bed. He expired and was gathered to his people. Look how the Torah calls death. Vayosev al Amov. He was gathered to his people. When a person dies, he joins his ancestors in Olam Haba. But Rashi quotes the Gemara in Tanit. Look at the verse 33. There's something missing in that verse, Elisheva. You want to read that verse slowly?
When Yaakov finished instructing his sons, he drew his feet unto the bed. He expired and was gathered to his people.
Doesn't say that he died. Hello? It should have said he died. It just says he expired and was gathered to his people. Why doesn't it say that he died?
He didn't.
So, what do you mean he didn't? They made him a mummy. Not a daddy. They made him a mummy. And they mourned for him. So what does the Gemara in Tainus, page 7, say, quote this verse and say Yaakov didn't die? What does that mean? It means he didn't feel the agony of death. Of course he died, but there was no fear, there was no disorientation, pain and suffering. When Yaakov died, it's like he took off a coat and went, beam me up, Scotty. Death is a painful experience to the degree that a person is involved in physical life. A person is involved in gashmiut. He's attached to his dumb phone or his smartphone. He can't stop twitching. So when he dies, it's anguish for him. Where's my dumb phone? I can't stop twitching. To the degree that a person is involved in physical tivus in this world, for him death is a painful experience. To disengage. Because he's so involved with what?
Life.
With the material things in life. So death for him is a painful experience. He doesn't have that. All he has is just a neshama now. But a tzaddik who lives a spiritual life even in the physical world, for him the transition is what? Much easier. That's what the Gemara means he didn't die. Of course he died, he didn't feel the anguish. He didn't feel the pacha, the fear of death. That's what it means. And the Talmud gives another reason, Ma zaroi b'chayim, afu b'chayim. If your children are alive and follow in your footsteps, we live on through our children. So since Yaakov left righteous sons, even though they weren't so righteous, but they did tshuva, by doing tshuva, they turn a sin into a win. So therefore, a person lives on through his children if they do the right thing, right? A person's legacy, we carry on Yaakov Avinu's legacy, and therefore what? It doesn't mention that he died. Now he gives the bracha to all of his sons, he singles out Yehuda. He singles out Yehuda. Take a look. He singles out Yehuda on chapter 49, verse 8. Elishev, you want to read that? Chapter 49, 8?
Okay.
I don't know what page, 49, 8.
Page 280. Yeah, no,
You can-
277.
49, 8. Chapter 49, verse 8. Go ahead, Elisheva.
Yehuda, you, your brothers, shall acknowledge. Your hand will be at your enemy's neck. Your father's sons will prostrate themselves to you.
What does that mean? Yehuda, your brothers will praise you. What does that mean? Whatever tribe you come from, I come from Yisachar. I'm not called a Yisacharite. A guy is not called a Danite or a Gadite or Asherite. All of us are called Yehudim. Your brothers will praise you, and each tribe will carry your name. Why? We're all called Yehudim. Avi, you called a Benjaminite? Maybe you come from Benjamin. Yeah, but you're not called a Benjaminite, or a Danite, or a Gadite. We have a Kabbalah in our family, we come from Yisachar. We have a Kabbalah in our family. Professor, don't call me Yisacharite. I'm called a Yehudi. Why did Yehuda give his name? Yaakov says that all of the tribes will be called Yehuda. Why is that? Because Yehuda demonstrated the awesome power of tshuva. He was the ringleader to sell Yosef. He was the ringleader. What a terrible crime. But he did tshuva big time. Even though he had this terrible sin on his back of selling Yosef, he did tshuva for it. He's willing to give his life up for Binyamin. So he demonstrated, no matter how sinful a past you have, you can turn your life around. And therefore he gave his name to Am Yisrael. He became the leader of Am Yisrael. He taught the awesome power of tshuva. A person does a terrible sin, and he might want to crawl into a hole and die. Yehuda says, you never give up. Where there's life, there's hope. Look at me. I did a terrible sin selling Brother Joe, but I did tshuva big time. So he became the role model. Him and his ancestor and his descendant David HaMelech. Didn't David HaMelech sin with Bathsheba?
He was surrounded the family.
Right? Now Vayechi points out, why did he make Yehuda the king? Why not Yosef HaTzadik? Yosef HaTzadik. Why was Yosef bypassed and Yehuda was picked? It says Yosef HaTzadik, when Mrs. Potiphar tried to seduce him, what did he say? I just can't do this. I can't do this. It's beyond me. But Yehuda was seduced by Tamar. And he did sin with Yosef. And he did tshuva. B'mokam shebala tshuva omed, a tzaddik gomer can't go there. Yosef is a tzaddik gomer. But Yehuda and David, they're about tshuva. And a repentant sinner is much higher than a goody two-shoes. That's Tractate Yuma, page 86. I'm not making this up, Professor. Tractate Yuma, page 86, that a Baal Tshuva stands much higher than a Tzaddik Gomer. Question is why? The question is why? Because a Baal Tshuva can turn a sin into a win. That sin becomes a win. It's awesome. It's beyond logic. Yehuda taught that. You do tshuva me'ahava, then all of your averos become
Mitzvahs.
what?
Mitzvahs.
Mitzvahs, a win. So who taught us that? Rish Lakish in Yuma 86, Rav Shimon ben Lakish. He used to be like Meir Lansky. Remember Meir Lansky? Bugsy Siegel. He did tshuva. He became the great Rish Lakish. All for a pretty face. Remember the story? It's in Bava Metzia, page 84. Rabbi Yochanan said, you have so much koichos, so much ability. Why are you wasting your time with the Jewish mafia? Become a Baal Tshuva. I'll give you a date with my sister. You become a Baal Tshuva and join my yeshiva. He had a beautiful sister. He fixed them up, and the rest is history. So he left a life of crime, all for a beautiful face. And he did tshuva. And he says that you do tshuva me'ahava, all of your sins become a win. But did he do tshuva me'ahava? He did tshuva because he wants the pretty girl. So is he an expert on tshuva me'ahava, Rechmiel? The great Shimon ben Lakish. If it wasn't for the pretty girl, he would have remained Bugsy Siegel. No, Bugsy Siegel is not a joke. He used to knock off people, but he never killed anybody on Shabbos. No, really, he never killed anybody on Shabbos.
Worked on Sunday.
And he kept Rabbeinu Tam's man after Havdalah, you know. He kept the longer Shabbos, Rabbeinu Tam's. No, really, you got to read the book. So at least something. But anyway, Motzei Shabbat, right? He kept Rabbeinu Tam. But anyway, Rav Shimon ben Lakish is teaching us that tshuva me'ahava begins tshuva for ulterior motives. Just do tshuva, whether it's a pretty face, you want to be called rabbi, you want the girl, you want the job, because eventually, v'tol shelo l'shma bo l'shma. Remember Nike, just do it. Just do it. Even for selfish reasons. Because if you just do it for selfish reasons, eventually you'll graduate and do it what?
For right reason.
For her sake. Who's the her? The Shekhinah. The Shekhinah. So Yehuda's the one that taught us that. And therefore he became the king of Israel. Mashiach comes from him, and he gave his name to Am Yisrael. Because he taught the awesome power of tshuva. No matter what you've done in life, you can turn your life around. What a message. What a message in life. And therefore Yehuda was chosen. David, they sinned. Yosef HaTzadik, he couldn't be the king. Who said good to be the king? A king has to identify with his people. Yosef was too perfect. You have nothing to teach me. I can't relate to you. A leader, a king, is somebody been there, done that. I know what it's like to fail, but I also know what it's like to succeed. The king is the role model of the people, but he himself has to experience sin and failure. And to get beyond it, to teach people that if he can do it, they can do it. But if you're like Yosef HaTzadik, you're too perfect, no one can relate to him. He can't be a leader. God has many malachim in heaven, right? The Kotzka said God doesn't want malachim. He wants people. People, by definition, sin and fail. And that's okay. If what? We do get up and dust ourselves off and do tshuva. So Pasuk in Mishlei, Sheva Yipol Tzadik. The Tzadik will fall many times. So why is he called a Tzadik? V'kam, because he keeps getting up. The Tzadik and the Rasha both fall. But the Rasha, David, he gives up hope. There's no hope for me. That's why Rav Nachman Blesov said the worst sin is despair. Because if you fall into despair, there's yiush, then there's no hope for me. You might as well commit any sin. Right? If there's no hope for me anyway, why not go all the way? That's Satan's game plan. The tzaddik knows he'll sin, but he'll get up and try to better himself. Even 7 times, which means many. We never give up. Who taught that? Who taught that? Yehuda. Therefore, he became the king of the Jews. And therefore, he gave his name to Naphtali, not called a Naphtaliite. Avi, you Naphtaliite? Gadite? No, you're called a Yehuda. What an awesome message. We're not called Yosephites either. Right? You can't be late to perfect people. They can't be a leader. It's Dafka Yehuda, it's Dafka a David. The Talmud Yuma says something amazing. Why did Shaul fail? He was too perfect. People couldn't relate to him. Pretty interesting. So Yehuda, he's the one And therefore, Mashiach will come from whom? From Yehuda. And Mashiach is called Shiloh. You take a look at verse 30. Chapter 49, verse 10. Slicha. Chapter 49, verse 10. This is the first reference.
79.
The first reference to Mashiach in the Chumash. Chapter 49, 10. You want to read that?
The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a scholar from among his descendants, until Shiloh shall arrive, and his will be in the semblance of nature.
All the nations will pay homage to Shiloh. Why is Mashiach called Shiloh? Onkelos and Rashi say that Shiloh is another name for, remember Clark Kent, Superman? Mashiach's other name is Shiloh, but why, Yehuda? So Rashi says Shiloh is an acronym Shiloh. Shiloh, there's a pasuk in Yeshayahu that when Mashiach comes, all of the nations, Shai in Hebrew means what? Gift. Shiloh, gifts to him. All of the nations, even the EU and the UN, will bring gifts to the Mashiach, acknowledging that he is what? The world leader. So Shiloh is an acronym for Shiloh, all gifts to him, that the UN and the EU will all bring gifts to the Master Mashiach in Jerusalem, acknowledging that he is what? World leader. Mashiach will come not just to save Israel, he'll come to save all mankind, and there'll be a world government, says Yeshayahu. And to acknowledge that, they're going to bring him presents, Shiloh, and that's the name of the Mashiach. And we see all the signs are there. Fasten your seatbelts. The signs are what?
The Christians will all realize they were wrong.
The Christians will realize they're betting on the wrong horse. Right?
What will they do then? What will they do then?
They'll see the truth, right? They'll acknowledge.
They'll become followers
Right.
of what?
But J.C. Penney is also one of our boys, wasn't he?
They'll become,
Wasn't he one of our boys?
they'll do tshuva and
They say
become,
so.
What?
They say so.
What do you say so? Christmas was his bris. And no, Christmas was his birth. New Year's was his bris. Ask the Vatican. They say New Year's was the circumcision of J.C. They try to cover that up. But if you look in the old text of the Christian theology, January 1st was celebrated as the Brit Milah of J.C. Penney. So anyway, have a wonderful Shabbat. And we have a class on Sunday. We have an interesting class on Sunday. Were Joseph's brothers in denial? Pharaoh's in denial. Was Joseph's brothers in denial? That's Sunday at 2. Thank you.
For more of Rabbi Sprecher's teachings, visit rabbisprecher.com.